Well, it's time for us to get into the newspapers and see what the news are and how it resonates with us. Benjamin Akakpo has taken a seat in his... What's the color of your suit?
It's coffee.
Coffee?
Mm-hmm.
Benjamin Akakpo.
Coffee.
Anyway, how are you feeling this morning? Did the rain disrupt your plans?
A bit.
Okay.
But it was okay. I woke up this morning a tad tired, and the weather wasn't helping, and everything in there. But it was okay. I mean, the heat has been massive. At a point last night, my lights went out briefly and came back on twice, but at least I must be fair to the ECG.
Yeah.
It didn't last long, so at least I got to get a good night's rest, and we're here. It's a Wednesday morning.
I would prefer this over the heat any day. I prefer the rains over... We experienced some heat wave that nearly drove me crazy. So by all means,
at least you didn't get there for some people. And you know, throughout this period, those I have felt for the most. Do you know?
Who?
Those who hawk on the road.
Charlie.
By the sides of the road and all of that. It's partly because of a failed system, because we shouldn't have so many people hawking. I mean, we shouldn't have people hawking along our roads, but the economic situation, people trying to eke out a living, and you know, every time I pass by, sometimes the heat is so bad, your AC is turned on full throttle, and you're still feeling hot, and you're imagining, and you know, you can see, when you look outside, you can see how bright the sun is shining, and you're asking yourself, wow, that's someone's sister, someone's mother, someone's brother, someone's father out there, just to make a living. And there's something called heat stroke or sunstroke. If you expose yourself to too much heat at certain temperatures, and if you don't properly hydrate, you could suffer sunstroke. And they're exposing themselves to this. You know, so...
What can they do?
That's the whole... I mean, I'm not... But I can't help but feel for them when the sun is blazing like that, and... Yeah.
But joining us today is Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante for the News Review. Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, welcome to the program. How are you feeling this morning?
Good morning. I'm well.
Great.
Yes.
Before we get into it, please let me acknowledge Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, and then we shall get right into it. So before we usher in Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, helping us bring you this segment, they are actually offering you, if you're a man, prostate screening gratis for free. If you're a woman, fertility screening for free as well. There are many branches they have. Let's start with Accra. They are at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. Kumasi, Kronomabwe here behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takra De Anaji State, Tema Community 22, Tichiman Hanswa, and Isiaman Zuma. Their call lines 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic.
The end to
chronic disease. You couldn't help it,
no,
could you? You just had to join on that.
Jump on it.
Okay, so let's take it away with Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante.
Yes, Doc. So what's on your mind this morning before we get into what the papers are saying?
Yes, today I'll touch on something briefly, and I want to look at, I want to commend NCA and commend Ministry of Communication, and then all the stakeholders who have made it possible for us to communicate one more time effectively. You recall a few weeks ago, we woke up only to realize that our lines were down. We could not make calls. We could not do anything. And they put their acts together. And today, yes, we are getting service, and it's good. I will want to urge them that next time around, if there is any alternative to what they exist, they should explore that before we come to the last moment where we are in distress. But so far, I think that they deserve some commendation from us because they've done a good work. It is my hope and prayer that they will be able to maintain and see things ahead and plan well. But so far, so good.
Right. Thank you for that. Keeping it brief and succinct. Let's get into the Daily Graphic newspaper for a start. I have put some ginger into my stomach this morning. I think it's making...
it's bringing out things that shouldn't come out.
Yes, it's bringing out things that shouldn't come out. Right. So on the front page of the Daily Graphic, it says 2024 Green Ghana Day launched. 10 million trees to be planted. PULC fines ECG 5.86 million Ghana cedis for service delivery breaches. Odao Basin, bridges causing floods to be removed. And former Maslog boss jailed 10 years in absentia. So let's get into the first story, that is 2024 Green Ghana Day launched. Yesterday, the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Abu Jinapo, launched this year's Green Ghana Day project with a call on citizenry to commit to come together to plant and grow at least 10 million trees for a greener tomorrow for the survival of generations to come. Green Ghana Day is an extraordinary opportunity for us all to contribute to make our country greener and habitable, and forever shall it be. That is a quote from the minister. Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, before you come in, Benjamin, can we achieve...
How did you know I wanted to say something?
Because when you go this way, I know you're about to get into it.
Manoke coming.
Yeah. Can we achieve this 10 million trees?
It's not about the numbers. And that's why, for me, when you look at something like the performance tracker, I'll be very brief. It's problematic and it's symptomatic of propaganda and the political game we play. Actually, if that performance tracker, we got it right, like I've said, and not just even limited to one administration, but we had a system like that, it would serve a very good purpose. Unfortunately, we are trying to do the right thing in the wrong way. Okay. Now, coming back to this, I have a few questions.
Okay.
For the last how many years, do you know the number of the tens of millions we have expended on this Green Ghana Day? Mm-hmm. I'm sorry to say this, but Obine contract and so no. That's someone's contract. Mm-hmm. Some people's contract. How much is a tree or the seedling or the sapling? How much is it worth? How many have we planted? How many have survived? How much have we put into it? I mean, when you go around town, how much greenery do you see? And I'm not just talking about Accra. When you go around town, how much do you see? In addition to all of this, look at what Galamsey. Do you know that we are slowly losing our status as the country with the premium cocoa? I remember in Cuba, 2012, or was it? Yeah. I was so happy because I entered this shop in one of the provinces. I've forgotten the name. And in there, they had, I think they said, 40% premium cocoa from Ghana as a part of the mix, a bar of chocolate. I bought that bar of chocolate because Ghana was representing right there. We are slowly losing our status. COCOBOT has been talking about that. So though this Green Ghana Day is on a different front, I'm saying, how much have we really gained? Our forest cover over the last how many years? We've lost it at an alarming rate. Galamsey is in there. We claim we are doing this, and I can't even see what the real, it should be palpable, right? Tens of millions every year. Where are the results? I mean, those are my quick reflections.
Right. Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante.
I think Ben has said it all. I'll add something few to it because the question is, are we ready to have green environment? I'm not sure we are ready because today we still have practices where we fell trees and it doesn't affect anybody. Nobody is busy. Nobody is bothered about that. Ben has said it right. We have spent so much and continue to spend. Have we achieved anything? It is not a matter of growing the trees, but do you maintain it? Do you have that culture of maintaining the tree, ensuring that they grow and grow well? What can we show that in terms of trees we planted, this is what we can show? I mean, there is no point planting and you will not maintain. And there is also no point planting and at the end of the day, you encourage the existing one to be felled anyhow. No. Planning is required here. We need to get certain bases right. And we need to make sure that what we put state money in, we ensure value for money. That's all. This country, as soon as we lay hands on some money, we throw it out there. As Ben said, it's somebody's contract, so he will benefit from it. So he doesn't care a hoot about what comes at the end of the day. But mind you, it's public money that we are just wasting it like that. If we want to fix the problems of this country, we must start from things like this. Now, we are talking about harsh, environmental conditions we are seeing today. Part of it is due to the way we abuse the environment. We have no trees to serve as windbreaks, and anytime it rains, we are desperate. We are hot. We are in problems. And how do we get this thing fixed? We need to get the basics right, and we need to be patriotic and know that, look, it is our country we are building, not anybody's else country. It is our country. We want to build it for ourselves, our children, and our children's children. That is all.
Right.
I have a message coming through. Abdul says, good morning. Have we accounted for the thousands of trees we planted before enrolling this new phase? That's his question.
Yes, because this is not the first time we're launching Green Ghana.
No.
Yeah, we've been doing it.
This is about if I'm not mistaken, maybe the 4th or 5th. I mean, the story could confirm for us, but I know this has been going on for quite a while.
Okay, but let's get into other stories. This, I believe we are all familiar with. PRC fines ECG 5.8 million Ghana cedis for service delivery breaches. And I think the story is in our news this morning when we brought back Dubik Mahama waxing lyrical about how it is the transformers that are causing the erratic power outages. And then we also brought back reactions of people saying that it's a good thing that they are fined, that they should pay. They should not share that debt or that fine on the ordinary citizen.
No, but the PRC told them.
Yeah.
So they have fined the ECG
the company itself.
I think, tens of thousands, right? That is chicken fee, chicken change. But the main people are the ones who have been fined 5.8 million. Yeah. But honestly, I mean, it's a hefty sum.
Oh, they should pay. They have the money.
Hey.
Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, what do you think about this story? I think it's part of our big stories this morning. We'll get into that. But what do you think?
I listened to Dr. Mantia this morning on your network. And I think I agree with him that politics will definitely come in. Because those who are put on the board are appointees of government, and then you will not want to see two institutions of state fighting, sort of. So when matter gets worse, government will step in, and then nothing will happen. This attitude about ECG, not ready to be honest about the situation on the ground, I find it so strange. I mean, so strange. We are experiencing doomsor, but for some political reasons, you don't want to accept that. How long can you continue to lie to public? I mean, if people sit behind their machines and in their homes and undertake illegal connections, do you want it? You want them to be forthright, to be truthful to you about what is happening, so that you can take a decision. Why are they pretending as if there is nothing happening? These things will not change the minds of people towards what they have said before and what they are saying now. We are just waiting for appropriate time that the good people of this country will factor these things as part of the things that influence their choices come December 7. They should note this. I'm not sure they are oblivious of this fact. If that is the case, then they are novice within the system. That's all that I will see.
Right. But before we get into an international story in the Daily Graphic, I want to do the story about the former Maslock boss jailed 10 years in absentia. So yesterday, the High Court sentenced this former boss of Microfinance and Small Loan Center, Sedina Tamaklo Ationu, and a former operations manager of the organization, Daniel Exim, to 10 years and 5 years in prison, respectively, for causing financial loss of 90 million Ghana cedis to the state. And this was after the court, presided over by Justice Ifiasewa Saributri, a court of appeal judge sitting with additional responsibility as a high court judge, found the two guilty of 78 counts of causing financial loss to the state, stealing, conspiracy to steal, money laundering, and causing loss to public property in contravention of the public procurement. Now, it was a case of the prosecution led by the principal state attorney, Stella Ohene-Appiah, that the two stole 3.19 million Ghana cedis while at Maslock and willfully caused 1.97 million Ghana cedis financial loss to the state. Again, they were accused of making unauthorized commitments resulting in financial obligations for government to the tune of 61.7 million Ghana cedis. So the charges against the two included 22.1 million loss of public property, improper payment of 273,743 million Ghana cedis, and laundering of 3.7 million Ghana cedis. Ben, are you familiar with this story?
I am very familiar with the story. I've followed it over time, and I'm very happy with the result.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you look at the tail of the tape. In law, sometimes your actions also depict whatever may be happening with you or whatever you may have done. Sedina Tameklo said she was traveling abroad for, and this was given because of medical reasons, and she refuses to return. Of course, the COO has been in the fray. I heard the Deputy Attorney General say that he was happy with the ruling of the court. I've followed the story extensively. There's an instance where I think they gave a loan to somebody of about, 500,000, and they wanted 24% back. When the person refused, they said there had to be a refund. Yeah. The entity did refund the money, yet
never really got it.
That money never got back to Maslock.
Yeah.
So the COO and Sedina, Tamaklo, kept that. There was another instance of, I think, over 1 million Ghana cedis, which was meant to be distributed to certain people, and the distribution was only done. I mean, it was a paltry sum that was given out. When you look at it, obviously, the court has ruled in absentia. If she feels she's not guilty, she should come and make her case. But at this point in time, she's been, unless there's an appeal in terms of the ruling. But people who do this, at least per the ruling of the court, the reasoning of the court, must face the full rigors of the law. You can't be doing this. And I don't know how long she'll be in, roaming out there without coming back. Though, just to end, I think it's the Deputy Attorney General or the Attorney General himself who said that they were going to initiate extradition processes. In other words, trying to get her back into the country to face the music. So I'm completely fine with this development. And I wish it happened more often.
Yeah.
More often.
Something I read yesterday on the case, that when you have an educated thief, it causes more havoc than when a person carrying AK-47. But over to you, Dr.
The educated thieves are the worst.
Yeah. No.
Yes, the ruling, we hailed the ruling. It's a good one. If you read our constitution, it said leaders must be answerable for their actions and inactions. So it talks about probity, accountability. We are accountable. So when a public office is entrusted in your care and then you are in charge, you need to discharge your work with diligence so that at the end of the day, when the times come for you to render account, you can do that. If you look at the whole story, it gives you an idea that there was something missing, right? And if you look at the details of the story, where Cantamanto, people who, the fire victims and the rest of them, were denying what is due them and all that. At the end of the day, you cannot say, but only to praise the judgment as nothing but delivery of justice to the doorstep of the people of this country. We want more of this, and then we want to make sure that public office, when you go there, you proceed with integrity.
Right. Let me do one last story in the Daily Graphic, and then we can move on. 3 countries join Africa to recall the J&J cough syrup. Yeah, okay. So 3 countries join African recall of J&J cough syrup. The story is on page 5. Drug regulators in Tanzania, Rwanda, and Zimbabwe have recalled a batch of Johnson & Johnson new tab children's cough syrup as a precautionary measure after their Nigerian counterpart said laboratory tests found high levels of toxicity. The countries join Nigeria, Kenya, and South Africa in recalling the same batch of the syrup, which is used to treat coughs, hay fever, and other allergic reactions in children. This has been going on since 2022 or 2023. I remember doing a story back at my former media house on this recall of drugs because it was causing some serious harm to children. And so I'm just happy that more African countries are joining the call to recall this. And I mean, how long will it take before we get it completely off the market? But any quick reactions to this before we move on, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante?
Yeah, my question is, has this particular syrup entered Ghana? I want to find out. If it has, what effort are people also doing to get this thing out of the system? Yeah, that is my biggest question for them, because looking at our borders and security and all that, people find a way of outwitting the system and bringing illegal, goods into our system only to come and harm society. So we should take steps to also make sure that we don't have this particular syrup here. If it's already here, there must be effort to get it out of the system.
I haven't heard anything about Ghana making any statement or, of anything of the sort. But, I agree with you. If it has entered the country, we should ensure that our children's lives are protected.
Well, I know there are different types of that syrup, so we also have to wait and see what happens. And the FDA and all are in there. So we'll see how things turn out. Let's get into the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Some of these stories have been done already: reforestation, Green Ghana Day. There's also the former Maslok boss situation. So I'll focus on two other stories. One, and I'm sure you'd be pretty interested in this, on page 3, Gadangme Council calls for probe into incident. And the Gadangme Council has condemned the use of live ammunition by personnel of the Ghana Navy on some Tema youth during a procession in connection with the Plejo festival, resulting in the death of 2 people last Friday evening. The council in a statement called for a thorough investigation into the incident and those responsible for the deaths of the 2 youth to be held accountable and brought to justice. According to the Ghana Armed Forces, a vehicle belonging to the Eastern Naval Command of the Ghana Navy was vandalized by a crowd participating in the festival at Tema New Town at about 7:53 p.m. I'm sure you're familiar with the tale of the tape, but I had in the studio just yesterday, we hosted Janet Amu, a sister to one of the deceased, Christopher Amu. We hosted Henry, who is PRO for the Youth Council. And the story they tell, and we're just waiting to find out what the truth is, but if you see a crowd that is moving, right, quite a mammoth crowd, and you're plowing through with a vehicle at a certain speed, you know there will be agitation. I'm not rooting for any side. But then there are reactions. You know how sometimes I've seen this happen when a car is speeding like that through a crowd, and then they want to hit it a bit. What is happening? And then these skirmishes happen. 2 people dead. That is unacceptable. It's unacceptable. Some have spoken about the fact that you can't get into a naval base. The people say they never got in there, and that it was only after the shots had been fired and some people had been affected that then there was some. But whatever the case may be, Janet said yesterday that the autopsy was going to take place at around 9:30 a.m. We want to find out what the results will be and how we curb this friction between civilians and especially the military. Your take, Doc.
I want to believe, and I know that it's a fact, that demonstration is a right guaranteed under our Constitution. So once people seek the necessary legal approvals, they are good to go. If that was done and the people were on the street, all right, then they needed protection by the police. At that time, where were the police? And how did it happen that the soldiers also got in and then we had this unfortunate situation on our hand? I believe that institutions must be up and doing and work proper. These things call for thorough investigation, and I support the call from the Gadangme group that they need to get to the bottom of this matter. And we know those who have crossed the red line, and we mete out appropriate sanction. This is the best way that we can handle this situation so that we allow public opinion to exist in this country, provided those who are in charge of that work within the framework of the law. Public opinion is critical, and it's expressed through a number of ways. One of the means by which people express themselves in a way of public opinion is through demonstration, strike, and the rest of them. So when they do, they need the best protection so as to enjoy that right that exists in their constitution.
The other story I'll do from the Ghanaian Times newspaper, affected communities lose 1.6 billion Ghana cedis in agric livelihoods. That's the Food and Agriculture Organization's assessment. And an estimated 1.6 billion Ghana cedis in agricultural livelihoods were lost due to the Akosombo Okpong Dam's spillage that affected 8 districts in the Greater Accra, Eastern and Volta regions in September and October last year. Now, according to the story, this represents an estimated 1.2% in gross domestic product of Ghana. A consultant at the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, Stephen Frimpong, disclosed last Friday at an expert review recovery and rehabilitation planning workshop at Sogakope in the Volta region. Officials of the FAO, Ministry of Food and Agriculture, district directors of the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, officials of NADMO and Ghana Statistical Service participated in the workshop. So this tells you what the impact has been. Yes, VRA and all of that and the spillage, but this is how much, 1.6 billion Ghana cedis. This represents an estimated 1.2% of our GDP. If you have any quick reactions, Doc, I will take them before I move on to the next paper very quickly.
Yeah, I think this problem, which we had some time ago, very, very unfortunate. But if you listen to experts on the ground, there are things we must get them right. One is the building of the Pualugu Dam so that it will contain any water from up north. And then by the time they spill some to Akosombo, the pressure would have reduced, and then the effect on Pom Dam will not be devastating and all that. We should get certain bases right. Those who build around the water way, and then the caution, the measure that we need to take in order to save the dam. Once we are able to do these things, we shouldn't suffer heavy losses like this when there is a spillage. And of course, all the managers of the dam must also go according to the rules of the game, so that at the end of the day, you don't create this situation and then create problem for society. That's all.
The Daily Guide newspaper, NDC runs from a Jiso by-election. That's how they couch it. But of course, the party has been talking about the fact that owing to certain developments, they would rather root for, right from the outset, they would rather plan for December rather than partake in this. Men's Gold customers petition AG over NAM1 properties. As for this NAM1 story, I'm tired of it. I'm honestly very tired of it. I feel it's almost as though there were different laws for different people in Ghana. So if you belong to a certain class or you are in a certain wealth bracket, you're treated with kid gloves and all of that. Because I feel with everything, the circus we've had, if there were anything that he had to be in the cooler for, he had to be. Look at how we dealt with, what's his name again? Atuesian, for example, until finally we had to put him in the cooler. Woyome. And, I feel we are not serious enough in this country. And it saddens me looking at the number for how many years now we've been talking about this. Do you know how many people have suffered illnesses and not been able to deal with it?
So the little I say about it,
to have died. We're tired of these stories. If they'll do something, they should. If they won't,
they should just stop talking about it altogether.
Zip it, and stop all the plenty.
Where is he?
I don't even
know where he is.
So let me get into the story then, since you are a person of interest, if I may. The Coalition of Aggrieved Customers of Men's Gold has submitted a petition to the Office of the Attorney General and Ministry of Justice to investigate the reported sale of frozen properties of Nanapia Mensah, aka NAM1, the Chief Executive Officer of the defunct company. The petition filed yesterday raises questions about the alleged sales of properties formerly owned by NAM1, which were confiscated by law enforcement agencies, including the Economic and Organized Crime Office. And what happened there? Mm-hmm. Well, then my credit score gets credit bureau license. That story on page 9. Let me do that, and then we get into other papers, and it's a wrap. So By Credit Score Limited, a Ghanaian company with a mission to promote financial inclusion through responsible borrowing, has been granted provisional credit bureau license by the Bank of Ghana. The approval marks a significant step forward for the company's mission to empower Ghanaians with access to fair and accurate credit assessments. Well, let's see how that goes. Oh, and in entertainment, KK Fosu denies Oga targeted Samini. KK Fosu is back in the picture. Do you remember his... Oh, you don't know KK Fosu?
I know KK Fosu.
Okay, but you don't remember his songs?
You were going to ask something.
No, I was just wondering whether you knew KK Fosu.
Yes, I know KK.
Okay.
Maybe I'm not that young.
Do you remember Suje? Because it had Samini, Tiny, and all of those.
Yes.
KK Fosu. Let's get into it. Any reactions, Doc, before we move on to other papers?
I think I'll look at the NDC story. I think that the NDC should have contested the election. They know, or we all know, that they were not going to win at Ejiso. But for some strategic reasons, they should have been there. One, to be there and test the political temperature there in terms of votes and how much there is that they are going to get as against what the MPP will get there. You want to find out if MPP votes begin to dwindle there, it gives you, whilst NDC is contesting, it gives you an idea as to the resources you can measure and then the kind of campaign you want to do to get the full effect come December 7. Why am I saying this? Because you and I know that in Ashanti region, NDC needs about 30% to be able to win the election. So once you gauge this move, when you are contesting, it gives you an idea as to whether there is a problem in there. What is likely to hit Ashanti region if care is not taken is apathy. So you want to find out whether people will mass up and go and vote in the by-election. If not, then it gives you an idea of what is happening. You want to see the quantum of votes that NPP will gain from this. That is when NDC is also contesting. All these things are a good mix that will help you to plan for 2020 for December 7. So saying that you are not going to contest, I believe that they should have taken a second look at the issue and then contested. And that would have given them a sense of what is ahead to plan and plan well. But it is their, having said this, I must say that it is their decision to stay put or be part of the process.
Okay. But Ben, before we wrap up, the Food and Drugs Authority has a statement on this J&J drug recall, assuring the public that the drug has not actually entered the market and they're monitoring. Let me just read the statement briefly. The Food and Drugs Authority wishes to inform the public of the recall of the Benylin pediatric syrup, lots number 329304, by the Nigerian National Agency for Food and Drugs Administration from the Nigerian market, and that the recall was necessitated by the detection of an unacceptable high level of diethylene cycle in the product. So the product is not on the market, and there are some ongoing assessment and surveillance efforts across the country so far, and it confirmed the absence of the lot in Ghana. So just to assure the public that this syrup is not in the country and we're okay.
That's good. Right. That's good to know.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
The Economy Times, I'll just take this headline, we'll not delve into it, but gold for oil policy may be reintroduced as cedi weakens. That's according to the Bank of Ghana. And we'll take a look at that, I guess, in subsequent discussions. But Doc, thank you so much for joining us this morning for the newspaper review. We're grateful and we wish you the best of the day.
Thank you. Have a pleasant day.
All right. God bless. And that's how we cap it off. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic helping us to bring you
chronic disease.
This segment. They're still offering you prostate screening for free if you're a man, and fertility screening if you're a woman. Just reach out to them at their branches across Pintex, opposite the Shell signboard, Kumasi Kronoma here behind the Angel Educational Complex, Takrady Anaji Estate, Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa, and Esiaman Zama. You can reach them on 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. Let's do it right. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic,
The end to chronic disease.
All right. Sports is up next, and it was a humbling moment for Barcelona yesterday. Some say without that red card for Araujo, they could have done a lot more, but could they?
Barcelona making big men cry.
It was all in making whom cry?
Big men cry.
Oh,
I saw
yeah.
some big Barcelona fans.
Oh, no. I could have helped them to cry further, but it's. But I mean, Barcelona already leading by 3-2 and scoring the first goal. You can tell how they felt, like it was in the bag, and then Charlie.
So keep watching. Mufta is bringing you all the details, okay? All right.